Bryant, and I want to tell you, I consider myself patriotic to this country, the United States of America, and also to the human race in the world. I think we should hopefully go on for centuries. But right now, I just wanted to show I'm wearing something that I made because my grandfather found this. He found this. Let me get this in here right. This is in Phoenix or Chandler. He found it around 1917 when he was riding his Indian pony, and I think this is Thunderbird. His wings are kind of tucked in. Here's the his beak and the eye and wings, and then this is Earth Mother that nurtures the human race, or the people that were the Hohokam. They had made 700 miles of irrigation ditches in the Phoenix area, and disappeared about 30 years before the Spaniards arrived. But they had 50,000 people at its peak for the city, and 50,000 in the suburbs, and agriculture and building canals with stone tools is how they did it. They grew squash, corn, lots of things. They made bread, hunt. The rabbits would come in to probably eat. So there's a lot of small game just coming after, and then some of the big game it would support would probably come in there too. So they were able to maintain this for 15 centuries. So obviously they had good family unit, good community spirit, and to pull this off for such a long time, whether or not, within the last few centuries, there were some people that were taking advantage of how well they were doing at the top end. They call it social stratification. I don't know. They had ball court games similar to the Aztecs. Whether there was some influence from there, I don't know, but it sounds like they really had a good act together, and a respect for Thunderbird, Earth Mother, and Frog. The outer part is kind of like a frog. This kind of looks a little bit like a frog when you look at it another way. And I think the frog is more like us, not as in control of the environment. But definitely they have to respect, we have to respect Earth Mother and the greater powers that be. So I think they did that for most of their 15 centuries there, and I'm sure there were some that wanted Thunderbird and Earth Mother to kind of help them even to the very end, but they left 30 years before Cortez or any of the Spaniards came in that area. Now, there may have been lots of floods. There may have been the floods and then the droughts, a combination now, kind of like what we're having. But anyway, so I was just so impressed that these people could build so many canals and aqueducts and do this type of lifestyle in the hostile desert for so long. It's just extremely impressive. What else is impressive is that we have Native Americans today that we're trying to stop some of the piping of tar sand. People need to educate themselves how nasty and how dirty and polluting tar sand is. We can't just have Native Americans by themselves and maybe a few people that are environmentalists. We need to get it out there how bad this stuff is. And we need to start using cleaner methods. If we're going to use fossil fuel, use the cleanest fossil fuel that we can with the least impact. And by far, the dirtiest fossil fuel is Canadian tar sand. Second dirtiest is going to be out of California, out of the old wells that are being steamed up and injected with chemicals that get into the water table just to get this peanut butter sludge out. Not as thick as the tar from Canada, but it's still peanut butter. Not worth the effort. You got to get the cleanest you can get. The cleanest you can get is going to be natural gas. And natural gas from the Beaufort Sea, which is the conditions of global warming are altering the parameters which maintain the methane hydrate in a stable state on the bottom of the Beaufort Sea. You know, we're talking 100 to 500 feet down. On the bottom of the ocean is this ice from escaping gases from under the sandstone. It pulls in the water as it escapes, and the refrigeration effect builds ice on the bottom. And that ice is going to melt with global warming in certain areas before other areas. And those are the areas that need to be tapped. And those are the areas where we can get some the cleanest of all fossil fuel energy. Keeping in mind it takes coal to make a solar panel. Keeping in mind to make a blade for a wind generator, the blade itself will be made from items from fossil fuel. And the actual, if you want an electric car, most of the power from the grid is going to be derived from fossil fuel. So as we try to move away from fossil fuel and look into other alternates or move into other alternates, we need to use the cleanest fossil fuel available. So I think we need to use methane hydrate. And I agree totally with the Native Americans that are trying to stop this Canadian tar sand. And we need more people trying to stop this stuff from California. It's nasty that's not second rate, it's third and fourth rate. It's just garbage. And it takes 3 times the amount of water to process it. So now you've contaminated 3 times the water just to process it. And you got stuff that's not worth anything. It's almost as what you're going to use. All you're making is nasty stuff. You might as well send it to the container ships for bunker fuel by the time, you've processed it, because it's garbage. Just like what all this 16 ships, container ships that give us semi-disposable goods from foreign countries, where we support dictators and 18-cent an hour labor so we can get semi-disposable goods that we throw into the trash dump in 3 years. Those ships are run off of bunker fuel. They're not going to use the cleanest, most expensive fuel. They're going to use the bottom of the barrel, nasty leftovers after processing. 2,000 times the amount of sulfur as regular diesel fuel. So, yes, I'm impressed by these people that built 700 miles of irrigation ditches and lasted 15 centuries. We haven't made it yet for 15 centuries in a hostile desert, and our climate's changing just like theirs did. So we need to work together and reduce the highly pollutive forms of fossil fuel and take the environment seriously. If I could, I'd want to have somebody that's a Native American. That's, we've had buffalo hunters for 10,000 years that didn't throw off the environment. We had these people for 15 centuries that managed to they got a decent living out of the desert. And we need somebody that's environmentally conscious and has the right to say, hey, that's somewhat conservative in many ways, yet says the environment is at the top of the list, man. We can't cut our own throats and give rise to, the cockroaches. We need some of these missile platforms and stuff. It's overkill. We spend a lot of money, billions, on submarines. Heck, I remember when the Seawolf, which is a fast attack, and they go, oh my God, this thing's almost costing $1 billion. Well, now they got them to cost more than $1 billion. We spend more than 9 times. We spend more than the next 9 countries combined on defense. Yet I've seen people back in the Reagan days throw stuff into the water. Oh, I'm going to throw this in so we'll get more money next year. So there's a little bit of waste, fraud, and abuse and waste and stuff. So we need to, put the money where we can ensure that not only our country but the human race continues on for another 300 or 400 years. Anyway, I think we should and can and will and must do certain things. And so these folks here, the Hohokam, are highly impressive. And so are the Native Americans that are trying to stop the worst of all nasty fossil fuel from coming from Canada, and we got nasty stuff in California. So, I mean, I'd like to see somewhat conservative in many ways, but a Native American that cares about the environment be our president. I think that we need that. I mean, my God, we've had just about everybody else. And well, let's get somebody that's serious about environment. It matters. Environment matters. Well, anyway, thanks for your time. Bye.